Okay, everybody. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Back to School, back to PTA Basics. Before we get started, I have some announcements. We have interpreters here tonight, and Mandarin and Spanish speakers will be able to comment and ask questions in their own language, assisted by interpreters. The interpreters will now take a few moments to introduce themselves and explain how to access their services. Thank you so much. Take it away, interpreters.
Recording in progress.
I hear somebody doesn't have themselves muted. Okay, take it away, interpreters.
Keys for Pop Song 400. Chapel Road wrote this hit single after her first visit to.
Hi everyone, I don't know if you can hear me, I hope so. My name is Alma Jurado, I'm one of your interpreters tonight. I'm gonna be along with Chivita, co-interpreting in Spanish, English. We also have our wonderful peers who will be interpreting in Mandarin, and they are Christine and Fran Yu, and they will introduce themselves in a minute. So I'm gonna guide you on how to access interpretation, and then I'm gonna repeat these directions in Spanish. So if you're joining from your computer, at the bottom bar of Zoom, you're gonna see a little globe icon. When you click on it, you will be able to select the English channel, and that's all you need to do. If you're joining this from your smartphone or your tablet, at the bottom right on Zoom, you will see 3 little dots that say more. When you click on them, you will be able to select language interpretation, that is a globe icon, select English, and at the top right, click on Done. That's all you need to do. If you have any issues accessing interpretation, please put it in the chat at any point so one of us can support you. When you're participating, we are going to invite you to do it one person at a time and speak slowly. If you are not participating, please mute your mic so we don't have any background noise. Remember that having a multilingual space where everyone gets to listen and to speak in the language that feel the most comfortable in is a collective effort. So we really appreciate your participation. I'm going to repeat quickly this in Spanish, and then my peers are going to repeat it in Mandarin. Thank you so much. Muy buenas tardes a todos, mi nombre es Alma Jurado y estoy aquí con mi compañera Chivita, que vamos a estar interpretando en inglés y español. También están nuestras compañeras Fran, Yu y Christine, que van a estar interpretando en mandarín. Entonces, esta noche, le recordamos, usted tiene el derecho de escuchar y hablar en el idioma que se sienta más a gusto, y si su idioma es español, le voy a invitar a que en la parte de abajo de Zoom, en la barrita, vea el icono de un globito terráqueo. Cuando lo encuentre, hágale clic y ahí usted puede seleccionar español, es todo lo que necesita hacer. Si usted se está conectando de su teléfono inteligente o de su tableta, en la parte de abajo a la derecha va a haber 3 puntitos que dicen más. Cuando les haga clic, va a poder seleccionar el icono del globito en interpretación, selecciona español y en la parte de arriba dele clic a finalizar. Eso es todo lo que tiene que hacer. Si tiene algún problema durante esta reunión con la interpretación, póngalo en el chat para que le podamos ayudar. Cuando participe, usted puede hacerlo en español porque vamos a estar interpretando. Hágalo una persona a la vez y hablen lentamente, por favor. Y si no van a participar, asegúrense de cerrar su micrófono para que no tengamos ruido de fondo. Muchas gracias, que disfruten su reunión y lo paso a mis compañeros Christine and Fran Yu. All yours, Christine and Fran, thank you.
大家好，欢迎你们来到我们今天的会议。我们今天的会议将会讲 PTA 的还原基本步。我们将会在几分钟之后开始。我们开始之前呢，有几则的公告跟你们说。我们今晚会有普通话跟西班牙语的翻译。我们的西班牙语翻译员是Chivita 还有 Alma。我叫 Christine， 我是今晚其中一位中文的翻译。另外一位翻译员是 Fran， 他会在这里跟我做中英文的翻译。然后呢，其实我们这个翻译的频道已经开启了。你们可以如果你是在用电脑的话呢，你可以在荧光幕的底部看到一个地球仪，你点击进去，然后可以选择你想收听的语言，请选择中文。 收听我们的普通话翻译。如果你是用手机或者平板电脑加入我们的话呢，你要点击3个点，显示更多，然后选择语言翻译，选择中文，然后点击右上角的完成。这样呢，当有人在我们的这个空间里面说英文或者是西班牙语的时候，你就可以收听到普通话的翻译。还有呢，我们希望大家请先把你的麦克风静音，以便我们可以清楚的收听我们会议的内容，并且每次只可以有1个人讲话，以免造成混乱。
Your turn.
还有呢，我们要求参与者，说话的时候要用一个适中的速度来讲话。如果你在执行这些翻译操作的时候遇到任何的问题呢，请在我们的聊天框里面发表你的评论，我们会帮你我们会支援你。谢谢，我们的口译公告到此结束，谢谢。
Antonia, you're on mute, I think.
Whoops. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, interpreters. So whether we are requiring interpretation services or not, we must select our language in the globe. All right, let's get started. So welcome to the first of our 4-part webinar series. This is Back to School, Back to PTA Basics. I hope everyone is having a smooth transition into fall. And we're going to kick off our webinar series by focusing on the basics of PTA executive boards. So please say hello in the chat if you wouldn't mind. Say what school you're with, what district you're with, so we know who's in the room. We are recording this webinar and participants can keep their camera off if they prefer. Please keep yourself muted unless we call on you. Participants can raise their hand or use the chat to comment, ask questions, or answer questions. There will be a designated comment period, various designated comment periods. And so we ask that you hold your questions for those Q&A periods. So my name is Antonia Martinelli. I am PTAlink's coordinator. I have been a parent leader in Brooklyn for a long time. I started out as a PTA secretary, then PTA president at MS88. Then I joined the Community Education Council in District 15, and I was the president of that council for a while. And PTAlink was created by another District 15 parent, Rachel Fine, who saw an information gap between PTAs in some schools who had a lot of information and those who didn't. And she sought to fill that gap by creating this website and platform. And I am here with my colleague, Rochelle Du. Rochelle, you want to say hi?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Rochelle. I am New York Appleseed's Integrated Schools Project Manager, and I run and coordinate New York Appleseed's youth programming. In 2023, PTAlink became a project of New York Appleseed, and we here at New York Appleseed advocate for equitable, inclusive, and integrated schools and communities. We are dedicated to working closely with and empowering students, parents, teachers, principals, and community members.
That's Rochelle right there. My head was in front of her little picture. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So let's introduce our guest speakers. Tonight we have Rydell Wallace. Rydell, why don't you come off mute and introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rydell Wallace. I am I'm living in Brooklyn, New York. I'm the parent of a second grader in District 17, and I have been on the PTA board for as long as I've been a parent in the public schools. So for the past 4 years, started as the vice president on our board with this wholly new board, and this is now my third term as president at 770. So I'm really grateful to be here tonight and share with you all.
Thank you so much. And we have Namrata Patel.
Hi, everyone. I'm a District 15 parent. I have two kids in District 15. I've got a third grader at PS 10 and a 3K at Brooklyn Treehouse. I actually come from an education background and was a high school teacher and administrator. This is my third year as the treasurer, and I was just sort of like a parent liaison for my first year at 10. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you for joining us. And do we have Veronica Santos? Is she here in the room? I don't see her. Veronica, are you there? Okay, well, maybe she'll join us later. Veronica is a parent in District 4, and she is currently a PTA secretary at PS 7, and she's the proud mom of two boys, one in middle school and one in third grade. Okay, and where can I stick myself here? Okay, we have our FLC, Rosangela Valdez.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rosangela Valdez. I'm the Family Leadership Coordinator for the Superintendent, Gary Bideman.
Thank you for being with us tonight. We'll hear more from them in a little bit. Right now, I'm going to talk about PTAlink and all the services that we offer. You can contact us anytime at info@ptalink.org. This is our website. You can, and when you're up late at night trying to, find the answers to your PTA questions, we're here 24 hours a day through this website. Because your FLC is not always available. So use this resource. So let's talk about what is a PTA. It is the official organization of the parent body of the school. A parent association is just an association of parents. And your PTA is your parent-teacher association. Now, state education law and the chancellor's regulations mandate that every school must have one. All parents of children, including step parents, legally appointed guardians, foster parents, and persons in parental relationship, are automatic members. And I know that this can be sort of controversial. A child can have multiple legal guardians, more than two, and you just have to notify your principal who specifically those guardians are so that they can participate with everybody else. Your principals, APs, supervisors, and parent coordinators, they're not members of the PTA, even if their children attend the school that they work in. Now, while teachers are members of a PTA, they cannot serve on the executive board. Parents can be PTA members in multiple schools. Parents cannot assign designees to vote for them. Your PTA cannot extend membership to unqualified individuals, such as honorary or former students, but your bylaws can allow some participation of these different groups, but they can't serve as officers or chairs of committees. And they certainly cannot vote as members of the PTA. So it's really just a vehicle for parent involvement in the school. It's an opportunity for parents to organize and take action on a specific issue. They may provide input on your school practices. They advocate for all of the children in the school building, not just their own. They partner with school administration and staff. And they collaborate with community members and sometimes elected officials. And I'm going to ask a pop quiz. I'm going to start off with a pop quiz. Does anybody know how a PA becomes a PTA? And you can just raise your hand, or you can add it into the chat. Does anybody want to jump in there? Okay, so your PA simply votes to amend its bylaws to allow teachers to be members, and therefore it becomes a parent-teacher association. So PTAs, the slide just moved. PTAs are self-governing, but they're guided by Chancellor's Reg A660. That means they adopt their own bylaws. They hold regular meetings with their membership. They elect their own officers. They determine their own goals and priorities. And PTAs collaborate. Successful PTAs nurture a shared goal in order to achieve collective success. And something we're really interested in here at PTAlink is how PTAs can not only collaborate within their own communities, but how they can join forces with PTAs in other schools and across the city and other districts to raise funds together or to work on broader issues that involve multiple schools. These collaborations can be quite enriching. I've seen various interesting examples of this where two PTAs in two different schools might collaborate to raise funds to support the hiring of a librarian that works a few days in one school and then a few days in another school. I've also seen PTA buddies pilots where one PTA will ask their parents to purchase school supplies out of a certain catalog, and then the PTA will then purchase the same school supply and send it to the participating buddy school. This was a school supply matching fund that I saw occur between PS 321 and PSMS 262. And these PTAs that join forces together, they can have joint meetings to discuss future projects. PTAs can also collaborate through their president's council. President's councils can have bank accounts. So I'm really interested to hear ways that your PTA may have collaborated with other PTAs. Does anybody out there have an example of this that they'd like to raise their hand and share? You can also write it in the chat if you've ever collaborated with another PTA. Or you can write to us at info@ptalink.org. We would love to publish a blog post sharing your experience of collaboration in your school. So let us know about that. And PTAs include Chancellor's Reg A660 is very clear that a PTA's board must be inclusive of the entire parent body, all of the various programs in the school, whether it's children in a District 75 program or children who receive various services. They represent the entire parent body. And they're responsible for really encouraging and facilitating parent involvement. So is another moment to share out. How does your PTA meet the challenge of inclusion? Does anybody want to share a story about inclusion in their school? All right, well, you can always write to us at info@ptalink.org. We'd love to hear your stories on that as well. Something, actually, I just want to go back and just highlight something about inclusion, since I have a little bit of time here. It's a constant practice and nobody is perfect. It requires sort of constant reflection about who is not in the room and why. And it can be reflected in our budgets, in the events that we've planned, in the goals that our organization takes on. And a frequent question I get from PTAs is about language access. Now, because your PTA is autonomous, and Chancellor's Reg does not mandate that PTAs provide translation and interpretation services. PTAs are always wondering how they can do this. So your PTA can prioritize language services in their budgets. Your parent coordinator can help you find an appropriate vendor. And there is something called Title III funds for multilingual learners, and parent engagement funds are part of Title III. And your principal can use their discretion to use those funds to support parent engagement through your PTA. They could use that money to support translation and interpretation services through your PTA. So I just wanted to let you know that that is an option out there. All right, so this is probably the most important slide of all. PTAs support students. We don't want to lose sight of that. Educating parents about the school curricula and the school rules and procedures helps us support our students. They also provide opportunities for parents to become involved in the classroom and out of the classroom. They participate in the decision-making on the school leadership team, which of course impacts our students. They sponsor numerous enrichment programs and activities like artist residencies. They run those after-school programs. They foster a cooperative relationship between the school and staff, and they raise funds to supplement our school's budgets, those specials, the arts, the librarians, the science classrooms. Oh, not the science, sorry, not science. Everything but that. And let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about executive board roles and responsibilities. So this is another thing we don't want to lose sight of. Executive board serves. They serve the parents that elect them. They serve as the voice and the agent for their action. Parents elect their officers to represent their interests and act on their behalf. And the board must in turn consult with their parent body regularly and hold votes on important issues and decisions. And our officers have obligations as well. They have to provide some personal contact information to the school. This is mostly in the form of an email address. I do know that in addition, the DOE is providing executive board members with an official DOE external email address, and executive board members have to provide some sort of government issued ID to obtain this DOE email address, but this does not need to be a social security card. It can be a library card. A library card is a form of government issued ID. And your PTA has to provide the entire school community with access to the PTA. They must use all the modes of communication intended for the PTA solely for the PTA use. They cannot use it for their personal use. And our PTA officers are obligated to attend trainings and become familiar with all the relevant regulations, such as A660, A655. There are more. There are so many more. There's regulations about political activities in D130 that pertain to schools, up to PTAs. There's regulations about the school facility in D180. So there's a lot of chancellor's regs that pertain to PTAs that they must familiarize themselves, and our PTA officers must read the bylaws. This is the rule of the game, the rules of the game. You have to familiarize yourself with your organization's bylaws. Okay, and now we have our first guest speaker, Rydell Wallace. Hi, Rydell. You want to take yourself off mute?
Good evening, everyone. So thanks for inviting me to come and speak to everyone. I think we're going to share a little bit about the president's role. I've been in this role for the past 3 years and always learning new things each and every day. So there are a kind of handful of things that are kind of articulated in A660 or the chancellor's regs about what the president of the PTA is charged with doing. And those are kind of reflected in the bylaws as well. One of the main ones is presiding over the meetings and collaborating to put together agendas to run those meetings. Operates as like a ex post facto or member of the committees and appoints those committee chairs, and attends lots of meetings, meetings with the SLT. So the president is a mandatory member of the SLT. Meetings with the President's Council that is held once a month as well, and member of the building response team in schools that are excuse me, have Title I funding, facilitates the meeting, the election of the Title I chair and alternate, and establishes themselves as signatories on the checks. So PTAs that have established bank accounts, it's always recommended to have more than one person as the signatory. So the person that's available to sign checks, and to have at least 2 signatures on those checks. And so the president can be one of them. And as was mentioned, the bylaws are kind of the rules that regulate PTAs. And so one of the things that the president does is make sure that those are reflective of how the PTAs operate. And, you know, that's done in a collaborative effort with the board and with all of the members of the PTA. And I would say that was probably the biggest role of the PTA president is collaboration. And as what has been mentioned a little bit earlier, we make a really big effort to collaborate within our board and within our school community and with our admin and staff, because you know that we are all here to make sure that our students are served in the best way possible. And so it is in the best interest, and we all have vested interest in making sure that that happens. And so having strong relationships and being able to kind of leverage those relationships to work collaboratively to figure out like where the needs are, where the gaps are, and how those can be filled together is one of the main things that I've kind of taken to heart as PTA president, and kind of infusing that in all of the things that we do. And no kind of decision or move is made unilaterally. The president often serves as the face of the PTA, but is not the only person that holds or wields power. And so, and it shouldn't be that way. It all should be done collectively in how budgets are proposed and put together and spent, and the activities that happen. Everyone should have an opportunity to have a voice and have a say in how those things happen.
I'll go to the next slide.
And I think this was a lot of what I just covered is, the collaborative piece of working as part of the board and kind of infusing that in the leadership as the PTA president. And, even though the PTA president is the leader of the PTA board and board in the PTA and has kind of jurisdiction, quote unquote, over that, the PTA president does not kind of have jurisdiction over the school. So the principal runs the school, the PTA president runs the PTA. And when those things work really well, they work together in service of the entire school community and the students centrally. And all of the things that happen and all of the decisions that are made are done centering the needs of the whole school. Other than, in the spirit of collaboration and working together, this is all volunteer. So the president is volunteer and all of the parents that work in collaboration with the PTA are all volunteers. And so creating an environment that is welcoming for families to want to step up, raise their hand and volunteer, showing appreciation at all times because this is volunteer work, and making it so that no one has to kind of shoulder any of the load alone. So it is always, regardless of who is the person that is taking the lead on an effort or chairing a committee or chairing an event, they always have a team behind them. And it kind of encourages other people to step up and do the same as well. And so those are just some things that we try to keep at the center of all of the work that we do.
That's great. All right, why don't we open it up to a Q&A? So the president, does anybody have any questions they want to ask Rydell?
Hi.
Hi there.
Sorry, that was
Did somebody?
my co-host over here.
Oh, okay. You can type your questions in the chat for Rydell, or just raise your hand if you have a question.
I see that Danielle Roberts has a question. I'm not sure
Oh, okay.
if they asked this during the Rydell section, but maybe you could answer. How could we get an email for the PA?
Well, I think your parent coordinator would definitely know how. This is a question for the president. Sorry, sorry, Rydell, you need to take the question.
Sure. Yes, I did. Our PTA email was kind of handed down from our previous PTA board. Our parent coordinator has been helpful in getting us connected. So I know that there's a new shift to getting new external DOE emails, and that is done in collaboration with the parent coordinator and the family leadership coordinator at the district. So those are 2 contact points that you can reach out to for that.
Yeah, and I think the family leadership coordinator on the line is probably going to be able to give us more information about that as well when she presents. Are there any other I see one hand raised.
It's me again, Danielle. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Headphones? Okay. I'm trying some new headphones out. So our school hadn't had an active PA for over a year. So I'm really trying to get the ball rolling with everything. We only have one meeting, and it wasn't official until we did an actual election. So our first election wasn't an actual election. We did it the right way, And but we haven't had a meeting yet. This was literally at the end of the school year. The question I have is, what other avenues or suggestions do you have for connecting with families and getting the message out there? Like when there's a meeting, when there's an event. I know most schools have class dojo, but we are coming from a school where administration is not super supportive or proactive. And it's already been an issue and I'm foreseeing it as an issue. And I don't know, I'm just curious what other ways there are to connect with families regularly.
Right, Dal, do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts about
I can
that?
give a first response. I know that a lot of schools find themselves in similar positions. You know, I've heard conversations about that. I know that if you don't have a vehicle for communicating or like sending mass communications, like through a class dojo or something like that, one thing that you might want to do is, if you have a parent coordinator that you could be able to coordinate with to send messages through, or even through teachers, sending things home in backpacks, if they have a newsletter or something that regular communications that go out to families, to just request that any notifications from the PTA are included there as well. And especially if it is a PTA and teachers can be active as part of kind of their volunteer efforts, you know, they often have direct communications with families and are able to kind of put that into communications that they're already sharing. So that is one way. And if you are able to kind of make that connection using that, kind of leveraging that to then start your own collection of emails and contact information with parents, having them sign up and share that with you, so then you can have like a direct way to contact.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I'm curious if your school has a website.
They do have a website, but they haven't updated it in a long time. I would love if I could just have a segment on the website and I would update it regularly. But as far as I know, there's nobody that keeps it updated.
So I think that part of A60 mandates that PTAs have sort of access to send out messages on that website. All right, we have another hand up.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, speak
Hi.
loudly though.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Anastasia. I was the PTA president for 3 years. I work with the school now as a teacher, so I'm the T in the PTA. Before I have my questions, I do want to mention to the member that was just speaking, what we did was we collaborated with the parent coordinator to get parent emails, and we have our own Gmail account. So we usually try to send out emails 10 days in advance to let parents be aware of our meeting. We also have sometimes robocalls. We made a Facebook and an Instagram page so that way we can get that out there, because right now we have no means of making copies. So we've alternated in doing like trying to get robocalls, trying to get emails out, trying to even make flyers, you know, even though it's only like 1 or 2, and post it outside the school. So when parents do come at those arrival points, they do see that and they're aware of that as well. So you can try that with your school. That's worked for us. Every year we have a challenge as well as trying to get information out there, but we try to figure out different ways of getting that around. My question is, for meetings, do they have to only be in person, or can you still do Zoom and in-person meetings?
Right, Del, do you want to take it?
Yeah, our meetings are still on Zoom, but we do make an effort to have at least one or two in-person face-to-face meetings throughout the year. We are attempting our very first evening one next month. So since we've had the board for the past 3 years, they've all been primarily virtual, and we've had some morning ones. Our school has 4 days throughout the year where they have curriculum celebrations. So they invite families in for like performances or to see school, their kids work in the school. And so when we have the opportunity, we kind of capitalize on that to like right after drop off and before the activity starts. So like between 9 and 10, then we will schedule a in-person meeting then, but they've been mostly virtual, which has led to a lot more attendance, but not very much engagement.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that because I know the ending of last year, we were told that all the meetings had to be in person because you're gonna have people pop up from the district. But I just wanted to confirm because maybe sometimes we don't have parents that to come in person, but if we can do like a mixture of in person and on Zoom, we might have a better outcome. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
I do know that our SLT meetings were switched from virtual to being in person because they're governed by the open meetings laws, but I don't think that applies to PTA meetings.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Is that all the hands that we have raised? Rochelle, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes, we have a few. We have one from Lisa Fairstein. Hi, Raydell. Does your community have many active volunteers? How do you encourage volunteerism from parents?
We have a like a core group of people who volunteer on a regular basis. And we have actually been pretty fortunate to have a pretty active parent body. One of the things that we do to encourage more people to come out is to kind of have them involved in kind of the ideas for doing the events. So if they kind of have a little bit of ownership or feel like this is something that they were invested in, then they will attend. And also we try to have food available at a lot of meetings, whether it's just like donuts and coffee or bagels or something like that, something that just like shows appreciation for them coming out.
That's great. Are there any other questions in the chat, Rochelle?
Okay, so there is one question that asks, Sarita Dobbs asks, as a newly appointed VP, where should I start?
That's in terms of just where should you start? I think you always start with the bylaws. I think you should always read your organization's bylaws. I don't know. What do you think, Raydell?
I agree. Starting with the bylaws, the chancellor's regs regarding PAs and PTAs is a good foundation. And then if there's any chance to reach out to any former PTA officers or people that were involved in previous years to get that perspective of like how things happened. We have a really a good relationship with admin or the parent coordinator, getting that perspective. That was a lot of what we did. My first year, everyone on the board was pretty much new, and everyone else had kind of graduated out. So we did not necessarily have the smoothest transition, but we kind of try to rely on those who had more experience, even if it wasn't direct experience, getting some information, and otherwise just kind of made it up as we went along. Tried to stay true to the rules, but made it up as we went.
Good answer.
There
All
are
right.
a few more
There's
questions.
there's more questions. Okay.
I don't know if we're
we have
over
time.
the limit.
No, we have time. We do have
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. One person asked, how can we find more fundraiser resources besides bake sales, especially when certain fundraisers are hard to do for families?
Is the person on the line
Yeah, oh
right
yeah,
now?
it's
Do they want to give more detail on what they mean by the fundraiser being hard for families?
Yes, hi, it's me again, Aracelis. So some of our fundraisers, like last year, we had got a fundraiser passed to us from PS 60, and it was supposed to be a simple parents sign up, they get a code, and then their kids get prizes and our school gets money. However, it didn't turn out to be that simple. Unfortunately, they turned around and told us that parents needed to sign up and get 10 emails and have it sent out, and it became so much of a problem for parents that they were bringing it back to the school and the principal. So we had to make it so that, every student was able, as long as they got one email, we were able to give them a prize, because it was misleading, the information that was given to us. And my principal, sometimes she doesn't want fundraisers well kids are going and selling things. So besides from, bake sales, and if we ourselves sell little like toys, gadgets here and there, there's not really much that we can kind of find, because if it's something that especially our Hispanic, our, African American, our French, our Mandarin parents, we have so much diversity. It's difficult for them to process on how to do things. It becomes a problem because they bring it back to the school. So then it's like a lot of the fundraisers that we want to do, we can't do because it becomes so frustrating for parents, and then it becomes a problem with the principal. So we're trying to see what else besides, we've done movie nights, we've done bake sales, we've done selling, like I said, little gadgets here and there. We're trying to see what other resources or what else can we do besides those little things to get, money into the school.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Rydell?
I mean, I think fundraising is a challenge, across the board, but I think our biggest fundraisers to date have been like things where we can make either a direct ask or a direct petition, like a GoFundMe or something like that, where we can kind of share it out with like the community, with your family members, friends, people that can make just like small donations that add up. Events, of course, where you can charge like a small entry fee, something that's not cost prohibitive. We recently had a silent auction, which was really cool. It was the first time that we did it. And we were just kind of figuring it out as we were doing it, and learned a lot about the process. But one of the things that was really interesting and unique about how our strategy was, we had a lot of donations come from the community, and they were, didn't have to necessarily be big ticket items. We had people like donate, I can take you on a trip to Costco and you can do some shopping using my membership, or someone that knew how to play guitar signed up and did volunteered lessons. So things like that were felt very like community rooted and were big hits. And like a kid that would teach you to play baseball. So those kinds of things that didn't necessarily take a lot of a lot of effort, or having big companies. We did also have donations from local businesses, but our communities did a really great job of showing up and putting their time and talents out there for fundraising. So those are some of the things that I can think of, and I'm always also looking for things to do that are good fundraisers.
Yeah, I'll just say I've come across a few recently. I know that there are some small businesses that sell, for instance, pies or Christmas trees or dog treats, and they will give a percentage of the proceeds to the school. So in other words, you go into the store and you buy whatever that item is, and they'll give a percentage of the proceeds to the school if you say, I'm from PS whatever. So I think definitely utilize your local businesses, as Rydell mentioned. I think the Brooklyn Nets has like a PTA fundraiser. And if your PTA is, you know, um, in the position to write grants, that might be an option to explore. I know I was a PTA president of a Title I school that we just didn't have the capacity to ask parents for money. So we had to look elsewhere, sort of outside of the school community, to do that. And you know, sometimes the focus, you just realize the focus isn't just fundraising, and maybe it's community building, and so maybe it's a school dance, and you're raising funds for something really small. Maybe you're raising funds just to buy winter coats for the children who always inevitably lose their winter coats everywhere, and the parent coordinator has to keep the stash of winter coats. So you raise a few $100s and you buy 10 coats. So you have to consider the school culture that you're in, the realities that you're in, and move from there, which it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. We have probably time. We have some time. We have a couple minutes for some more questions. I see we have like 3 more hands raised. Rochelle, you want to call on somebody?
Sure. I think Amiria was the first to raise her hand.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to give some suggestions. Amaria Allen. I am the PTA Vice President of PS 108K in Cypress Hills, East New York, Brooklyn. Some fundraising ideas that we've also done. And I also want to credit PTAlink for having another guest that talk about transactional versus something that's like community oriented, which Antonio, you just mentioned. So during our PTA meetings now, we do a trivia that's related to the month, whether we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month or Black History Month or the beginning of the school year, whatever the case may be. And that trivia will yield like a $25 gift card, right, for grocery shopping or whatever the parents want to do. So that also creates like excitement and incentivize the parents to attend the PTA meetings, because it's also another touch point for the school admin teachers to share what they're doing and want to extend information to the parents. But we've done recently, we did Chuck E. Cheese fundraiser. And we're also looking to explore Dave and Buster's. And the good thing about it is that obviously it's not only for the school community, you can tell friends and family and neighbors to join in. So that's also a bonus. And then we've also done gift baskets.
Oh, you just muted yourself, Amaria.
Oh, it said co-host muted me. So it also, we've done gift baskets where we raffled off gift baskets, and all of the items, we know some of the parents work or are well connected. So we ask them to donate the items to, cut costs, obviously. And of course, tapping into local businesses and whatnot. So the raffle basket, which is pretty cool because we usually announce the winner during Family Fridays, which is once a month for parents and family members to come to the school and visit the school class, their child's classroom, and then we'll make sure and have some touch points with the parents. And then we're finishing up our free icy day, right? Which is our back to school incentive. So once again, it's like building that school community. So they put a face to the name, where we're literally giving every single student a free icy. So we split it across 3 days. We had like rain dates. So we're finishing up our last icy day tomorrow. So I gave like fundraising, but also like community building type stuff, So I just wanted to share those ideas. Oh, and then I don't know if anyone mentioned this, or Raydell, if you mentioned this as well, but our picture day is also a fundraising opportunity. So we use Life Touch. So
Nice. Thank you, Amelia, for all those great ideas. Let's see. Do we have some more time? Yeah, we have time for I think one more question.
Okay, let's do Deborah then.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well today, so excuse my voice. But I don't have a question. I'd like to also just make a few suggestions that we've used when I was at my previous school. So the PTA would visit the local community with regard to the business owners. And we would have a discount card that was given for about $10. You can purchase this card. It was good for a year. And the various vendors would take off like 10% for dining in, or it would be like a free ice cream sundae. And this yielded quite a lot of revenue because the card was relatively inexpensive. It was available for everyone. They would print out the various business owners, what the percentage was. Like you might win, I'm sorry, you might come in and have a free photo session or a 10% dine in or a catering type of situation. So that was one idea that we used that we still use today, and it really brings in a lot of revenue. We also would have crafternoons. We would go to like the local art supply stores, and they would have, for grades K to 4, they would come in from like 2:30 to 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock for a minimal fee. They would have their canvas, they would have their paints. We also had a sports night for the boys because they didn't want to do, the dance like the girls. So we had a retired Harlem Globetrotter come in, and the boys were able to do like these relays with this gentleman. And so those are just a few of the things that we did to bring in some more revenue. We also had an ice cream social. We partnered with, for us in Queens, Mr. Softy, and he would come. And for grades 3K to 1, we would have an ice cream social. They had their ice cream. They got a picture with like the Mr. Softy symbol, and that was another little afternoon fun type of event. So just a few ideas.
Thank you. Is that Deborah?
Yes.
Who's just speak? Thank you, Deborah. That was great. I think that maybe Deborah and Amiria should partner on a blog post for PTAlink on like great fundraising ideas. Those were wonderful. If you would like to partner on that, I'd love to put it up on
Sure.
PTAlink.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, those are great ideas. So I think we're gonna, yeah.
Sorry. There's just one, I feel like there's one simple question in the chat that
Okay,
probably has a
sure.
simple answer.
Okay.
Samantha asks, how do I get a copy of the bylaws for my school? The principal and PC don't have a copy of it.
Wow. Okay. I have like a lot of questions there, probably more questions than answers, and that might be like a phone call or email the PTAlink, because I just have like a lot of follow-up questions about the circumstances around that, and it just won't be like a straightforward answer. It's going to require like some investigation into what is going on there. Who was it that wrote that?
Samantha Santiago Gonzalez, and then Rocio Zumaya gave it a thumbs up. So it's a question that's
Okay.
on several people's minds. That's why I thought
Can you email? Can you
coordinator, maybe?
Yes, definitely the family leadership coordinator. But if the principal, email me offline, info@ptalink.org. Rochelle, would you mind like
Yep,
just
I put it in.
yeah. And we'll chat more offline about that. Okay. Oh boy, what did I do? I hit a button. Okay, let's move on to our treasurer. Namrata, you ready?
Yeah, of course.
Great. This is Namrata Patel. Take it away.
Hey everyone, I am the treasurer at PS10. One of I think the hardest things about being a treasurer is having to do a lot of these things that are written on the slide. I come from an operations background just professionally and sort of had to figure out some of our systems and how to make things work and if we even had systems and so it was you don't have to be, what I'm trying to get at is that you don't have to be an accountant or some sort of person with like a lot of financial experience. It's really about just tracking all the revenue that you're getting and all the expenses that you have to kind of get to your bottom number. So one of the biggest things that we have to do in the treasurer role is develop a budget. Typically, as we've been referencing, it's within the bylaws, like our particular bylaws at PS10 say that the budget has to be voted on in May the previous year and then created. And so it's pretty much a document that we work on together and we kind of tie ourselves to. So if we're budgeting revenue and then budgeting expenses, and then we're kind of comparing what the actual revenue and the actual expenses are. That's one of the roles that I take really seriously. We don't actually have a fundraising person, so constantly kind of tying it back to, hey, we made this on this ice cream event that we did, or this Halloween event we did, and here's kind of how we netted out at the end of it. I am responsible and treasurers are responsible for making sure that they are recording all the income that's coming in. So at PS10, we have income coming in from PayPal for direct donations, through Square. We sell a lot of merch at PS10, also coming through Venmo and just regular cash, all the quarters that randomly get given to us. We're also recording all the expenses that are going out. We are a 501c3. We also have an after-school program that is with our school. So we have a lot of expenditures that are going out as an entity. So we're using QuickBooks as a way to record a lot of that. I know not everyone has access to that, but we sort of migrated to that 2 years ago, which has been super helpful in sort of spitting out all of the expenses and all of the revenue that, is tied together. At every single meeting, I'm also responsible, me and my co-treasurer are responsible for reporting back how much revenue we've made and then what our larger goal is. So we've set a goal for this particular year, and so every month we're reporting where we are in terms of that goal and where we are in terms of expenses. Sometimes expenses are really large because you're funding something for the school because you've got some money in your savings account. And so our expenses usually in September are pretty high because we send money to the school that hits their bank account in the summer, so then they could pay for some of the things that they've asked us for. We're very lucky that we are, even though we don't have a fundraising person, we are really big on fundraising through our events and then through direct donations. And so we're able to really take some of those funds and then send them over to the school. We're also responsible for the tax forms and financial reports, and then reporting on all of the fundraising activity that's required. As I had mentioned, this role particularly, I'm always talking about, hey, is this a low lift event or is this a low lift program? If it is, hey, this is how much money it will make us in the end, or it's a community event. I'm kind of driving the community on the executive board to sort of see which way we should, put some of our attention. We have a bank account. Again, I mentioned we're a 501c3, so we have a bank account that's sort of linked together. And in this bank account, we deposit money. The co-treasurers have access to it. Sorry if I'm going really fast. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not going above the time. I had mentioned that I have a co-treasurer, and the reason we have a co-treasurer is really because of making sure that information transfers from year to year. This is my 3rd year in the role. My co-treasurer, this is his 1st year in the role. One of the things that is really helpful in having 2 people is that everything is checked by 2 separate eyes, which is really key. And then also there's, if someone makes a mistake in anything, but also really to have someone to be the second voice or the first voice in a conversation. And then to have that perspective is really helpful, especially when you're talking about funds that are raised. And then it's really helpful for me because someone is checking some of the work I'm doing, or vice versa, I'm checking the work that my co-treasurer is doing. So it's extremely helpful in that. And I think that is sort of most of the responsibilities in the treasurer role.
All right. Thank you. Do you want to ask the pop quiz question?
Sure. I actually don't. I think it was what the most successful fundraiser is, right?
Oh, why have co-treasurers?
Oh, why have I'm sorry, it's in front of me. Why have co-treasurers? Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of answered that already
Yeah.
in that sense.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. It's just to allow for the division of workload and also to create for continuity. It sounds like you have co-treasurers set up so that one is more experienced than the other, and that way you create you train one so that that person can eventually run as a slate with somebody who is maybe less experienced, and then you always have somebody who's training up the new co-treasurer. Let's go to the next share. Here, you want to do the next share out?
Yeah, sure. What is your most successful fundraiser? I'm happy to answer this on our school's end. One of our most successful fundraisers is a readathon, and so we pretty much do it with the teachers, in conjunction with the teachers. It's a platform that we use. It's called Pledge Star, and then families for the month are just recording in how much they're reading, and they're sending out like a pledge donation request to their grandparents or their aunts and uncles. It could be $5, it could be $30, it could be $300, whatever it is. But it's a very easy way to get excitement around it, but then also to raise funds for the school.
Great. Does anybody else want to chime in from the audience about a successful fundraiser? I know we already had a few people chime in on that. Does anybody else want to share their successful fundraisers? Do we have any hands raised, Rochelle, or?
Nope, no hands raised.
No hands raised. No comments in the chat.
I did have my hand raised. I'm sorry, but now I can't figure out how to raise it again.
Oh, that's okay. Jump in.
Yes, hi. I'm my name is Nicole Galea. I'm the newly appointed PTA president of PS 21 in Flushing, Queens. We are a Title I school, and I think my question was to kind of just touch base if there was anyone else in this chat who was a Title I school as well, because it is a special niche to try to fundraise for a Title I school. It's very difficult. As anyone who's been there can tell you, we have a large percentage of our families who are low income. So, I kind of am like I have to be very careful with what I can fundraise. I choose not to do a Miss Chocolate sale. It just, with our school, it just doesn't seem like the right fit. So I was wondering if there were any other Title I schools on here that maybe could offer any.
Yeah, raise your hand if you have a good fundraising idea from a Title I perspective.
It's tough.
And let's say we got Ameria. Ameria spoke, so let's go to Aracelis.
Hello. So basically, we are Title I as well. And the main thing that we focus on, like I said, is bake sales, movie nights, try to just get like selling things for like 25 cents, 50 cents. We never do anything more than $5 because again, we are low income. We know how impacted it is. So we try to keep it under the $5 range. And we do notice that when you do keep it at that lower price, depending on what you are selling, the kids will tend to come by more, and parents are willing to, come and contribute, and sometimes we get donations and they'll be like, you know what, here goes $5, give out to whatever kids don't have money. So it's just usually keeping the prices low within their budgeting and just hope for the best sometimes.
All right. And Amaria, do you want to chime in?
Oh, yes, I just put it in the chat. Just our knowing that we're Title One, most of the times Picture Day program is our most successful, which brings in over $10,000 because we do and I mean, just because I know there are other districts that are raising way more money, but we consider that a success given the fact that in years past it hasn't been as abundant, but nonetheless, the Picture Day program has yielded actually more than $10,000. So just a suggestion, because everyone wants to capture the memories and have photos of their children, and it's very reasonably priced, always reasonably priced.
Yeah, and I believe she said it was Life Touch was the company that they go with. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Thank you all for participation. Do we have any questions? Open question for the treasurer. Aracelis, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. So I know back when I first started, we were told that everything has to be done through checks. Is that still the same, or are you allowed to have a debit card and say if you want to order things off of Amazon and you put it into your budget and everything, is that allowed?
You want to take that, Namrata?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, you can, we have a debit card. It is one debit card that is for the PTA. The person who actually uses is the most has possession of it. It's not in the name of the treasurer. I believe that is actually not allowed for the treasurer to have access to it, but you are able to use it. And so we have it for that one person who is our events person.
All right, and Rochelle, why don't you
Pick.
call on the next person? Yeah.
Sure. I'll do Serena.
Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm actually the co-president for 20K 485. It's a high school, so it's a little bit different from the younger schools. But right now, we're trying to figure out the president's. When we went to the meeting, President's Council had mentioned that we're able to change banks if we wanted to. So I just wanted to know, how do we go about doing something like that? Is that allowed?
Yeah, you can.
Go ahead.
I said you can certainly do that. We also looked into changing banks as well. We partner with a bank and didn't really think that they were up to date in sort of like they didn't have Zelle, and we thought we were really limited. We as an executive board just sort of researched about it and went through a few options. We ultimately stayed with the one that we have, but then we made it all public knowledge at our PTA meeting. So we were exploring the idea, and then we took it to a vote, and then everyone voted to stay with the current bank.
So we did, because we were rushing, we had just gotten access to our PTA DOE account. And so all of these files and all the records, like, were kind of coming in with not a lot. I still haven't found any of the, like, whatever records we did get was very sporadic. So I think the record keeping, I'm not blaming one person or another. It's just, I don't know where all the files are. And they had said they don't know. The school had said they don't know where it is. They tried to look for it. Then they also said the previous president did leave something, but not everything. So we're struggling with trying to get all the records together. And if we're non-compliant, would we get in trouble? I mean, that's all we hear, that, oh, if you don't do this, you're non-compliant. So I'm just thinking, if there's certain things that we're not doing, we weren't able to send out an agenda in time. We weren't able to send out our 10-day notice in time. We tried our best, but you know what we was given, because we didn't get access until like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and our meeting was just yesterday.
Well, I think like just know the rules, and it sounds like you're on the path to now being compliant, right?
Well, obviously, we're trying our best to be
Yes.
compliant, going according to our bylaws and everything. And here's the okay, I shouldn't be disclosing this right now, all in public right now. We might get in trouble, but
You could email me and we could have a deeper conversation about this
okay,
if you're
I would
not comfortable.
have a lot of questions and we have a lot of things. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah. Email me info@ptalink.org. We'll set up a call and
Got it.
we'll have a deeper conversation about this.
Thank you.
Sure. It's my pleasure. Do we have time for I think we might be over time. We're going to have another question period at the very end. So let's hold the questions and keep moving. Okay. Tips for secretaries. Is Veronica Santos here? Rochelle, could you just check the I don't
Yep.
think
I'm checking right now. I do not see Veronica.
okay, all right. So I was a secretary at one point. I'll cover it. Um So your secretary is your communications person and records all of the minutes, prepares the minutes at all the PTA meetings. Now, minutes do not have to be courtroom stenographer quality. It is just about recording the votes. You are just saying the executive board or the PTA at large voted to do X. This many people voted yay. This many people voted nay, and it passed or it didn't pass. You also read and distribute copies of the minutes at the next PTA meeting. You're ensuring transparency. When you don't ensure transparency, often that's when conflicts arise. You're preparing the notices and the agendas, the sign-in sheets. The sign-in sheets are very important, especially if you want to be effective at outreach. Make sure everybody is signing in. You want to distribute the materials for distribution. I went to a PTA meeting recently and there were no copies of the budget. And I was a little disappointed because they handed out one copy of the budget and nobody was able to really sit there and look at the budget. I know that making copies is time consuming and costly. Sometimes it's just putting the link in the agenda so that everybody can look at it on their phone. Again, you're the transparency person. You maintain custody of the PTA's records on school premises. Some PTAs have their own room, some just have a filing cabinet. You're responsible for whether it's a Google like a Google account or a physical binder. The secretary is responsible for that. You are incorporating all amendments into the bylaws and ensuring that signed copies of the bylaws with the latest amendments are on file with the principal's office. We just heard how difficult that is for the incoming PTA to carry on if the principal's office doesn't have those bylaws on file. You review, maintain, and respond to all the PTA's correspondence. Sometimes there's a separate corresponding secretary who does email and correspondence. Sometimes it just falls all on the recording secretary. It depends on your bylaws and what your how your offices are designed. And you will assist with the June transfer of records to the incoming executive board and the incoming secretary. It's a very important role. It carries on the institutional culture that your PTA has worked so hard to create. So let's move on to the next slide, which is just a Q&A with a secretary. There are any questions? I see Aracelis has a question.
Yes. I do have a question. For when we do Zoom online, do they still have to do recording of the minutes if they record the Zoom? Do they have to physically write it all out, or would a recording be considered their minutes?
That's a very good question. I think I want to ask our FLC that question because I don't really know the answer to it. You've stumped me. And let's see. And fortunately, family leadership coordinator is up next. Rosangela,
Hi,
do
good
you know
evening.
the answer to that question before we jump in?
So we typically with the you record the minutes once you start the recording of the Zoom. Is that was your question?
I think she's asking whether you have to both type up the minutes on a Google Doc and distribute hard copies, or if it's okay just to have a video. I think
you
I
have
think
to
you have to both type them up and distribute them
have
because not everybody has access to the video.
exactly. And then you don't really have to you usually record the meetings just to keep yourself a record, so when you're writing it. But typically you don't send the recording to the families when you have a meeting.
But you could request it.
You can
request
only by request.
So,
right,
so
correct.
what if we were to send them the slides? Would that be considered the minutes or no? Because you still have to put in like what everybody said.
Exactly.
Yes, you don't have to put in what every single thing that somebody said. You're recording what was voted on and what was the outcome of that vote. What decisions were made in your meetings?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You don't have to be very specifically on what the people say. You can just what you voted on, and essentially, if you have a principal talking about the school, you can just write a brief summary of what happened.
All right, take it away. Floor is yours.
So thank you, Antonia, for having me today. So I'm going to talk about our district for a little bit. So the family leadership coordinator for the superintendent, Gary Biderman of Manhattan High Schools. We have 46 high schools in the district 1 to 6. We serve over 29,000 students, and I am being in this position for the past 3 years. So I'm going to talk about the role of the family leadership coordinator. So our role is pretty much to support work related to parent leadership and community engagement. This includes providing guidance for developing and family involvement and leadership, both at the school and the district level. We serve as a district communication between the families, the school, the DOE, acting as the liaison during a family meeting, workshop, and district events. We also provide guidance and support for the parent association, parent-teacher association across our schools, and we also, as well as support the school leadership team, the district principals, president's council, Title I committees, and also the citywide Council of High Schools. And in partnership with the Manhattan President's Council, we work to ensure that family voices are heard, respected, and reflect in the decision-making in the school. I also support the parent coordinators. I host monthly parent coordinator conference focused on building their capacity to ensure the family foster inclusivity in the schools. I also help them straighten the relationship structures with the PTA and SLT as they serve as your point person and they support you at the role. And to also ensure that our school has a function and collaborative SLT and PTA, and that family feels empowered and participate in education and other events that we do at the district, such as AI Summit. I host the Manhattan High School Fair yearly, and other events, family facings, and also at the district level for our schools. And that's pretty much our role.
Thank you. I'll open it up to questions for anyone, for our family leadership coordinator or any of our guest speakers. We've got Giselle Ramirez.
Hi, yes. I had questions about I know they're giving out the DOE emails and I wanted to confirm everything for the banking. Are we allowed, as long as we have a DOE email, are we allowed to do the Zelle? Or are we still only allowed to do PayPal?
No, with I mean, is that with your bank account? You're allowed to use both.
Okay, just as long as we have a DOE email, right? It has to be connected to a DOE email.
Is your bank account connected with the PTA?
Yes.
Yes, correct, of course.
And okay, so then I have a couple of other questions. So I'm the newly president for PS 83 in the Bronx. And our EIN number, we're still confused. IRS will not give us information on the EIN. We're still unaware if the former PTA president is gonna sign over. So how do we go about do we need to get a new EIN number? Or what do we do?
So I will say to reach out to the school principal or parent coordinator that will provide you with that information if the previous PTA had that. Because if we have to do a new one, I mean, before you go on to get a new one, you have to find that information from the school. Because the principal will have to give you the letter in order for you to get that IE number.
No, we have EIN number. So
But
that we have when you transfer it over, they won't give us the information.
Sorry, the
So
school.
we're unaware if the former PTA president will answer calls and come into the school to sign over on the paper that we have to fill out to the IRS.
Okay. So can you ask your parent coordinators to see if they can reach out to the previous PTA at your school?
Sure, no problem. We've tried that already and we've gotten no response.
No
So
response.
I was waiting for a Thursday, but I don't think you got Thursday PTAlink this week because we're closed Thursday, correct?
Yeah, the school is it's a holiday, but also you can reach out to the FLC of your district. I'm gonna put a link in here because I know where you can find that information. So you just check who's your in everyone. You can check who's based on your district. You said you're District 8 in the Bronx?
No, I'm District 11.
District 11. So you can reach out to Sharon Johnson in District 11. She's the family leadership coordinator and she will be able to, to support you on that.
Okay. And then I had another question. What are the same rules for elementary, middle school, and high school for PTA? Because I'm on both. I'm on K through 8. I'm PTA president for K through 8, and I'm treasurer for high school.
Yes,
So all rules are the same. Are you allowed? Because I was told also that you're not allowed to do GoFundMe or anything like that for high schools, and you're not allowed to send email blast out.
Well, GoFundMe, that's something that you would typically do not ask the PTA to do. We're not saying that it's not allowed either, because it's not in the chancellor regulation. But it's something I recommend just to speak with your principal
Okay.
and how to go about that.
Okay, awesome. I just wanted to find out because I was getting mixed information part. So I just wanted to confirm on both sides.
Yeah, because I to be honest, I haven't gotten this question before, if they, the PTA can do GoFundMe.
No, it was just a random question because I heard someone else mention it that it was something to GoFundMe earlier. So I was just okay, let me just ask the question now. So I appreciate you very much.
Do any of the other guest speakers have they had any experience with GoFundMe being tied to their bank account?
We have used GoFundMe for fundraising. It's tied to I think I think it's through PayPal Giving, and they do through GoFundMe. So all of our accounts are linked, and we've not had an issue with doing any fundraising through GoFundMe. And it's through the nonprofit. And so we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we use the nonprofit GoFundMe to set it up. And we haven't had to have like clearances through our principal or anything to do any of our fundraising, since there was a question about the PTA being an independent entity that's separate from the school. I know the school isn't able to do fundraising, and the PTAs are.
Right, correct.
Yeah, that 501c3 piece is probably pretty critical to using GoFundMe. Is that correct, Rydell?
Yes, I think that you can set it up through like the typical GoFundMe, but through the nonprofit, it eliminates some of the fees that they charge.
Although individuals do, I have seen individuals just use GoFundMe to fundraise for themselves. So maybe you don't even have to be a 501c3.
No,
and it's not a third-party vendor. You're connecting it
directly to
pay directly to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
I think as long as there's not like a third party through which the money transfers, if it goes directly into your PTA bank account, I believe that is okay. But this is a really interesting question. And I am going to be doing my PTAlink office hours Thursday. Even though the schools are closed, I work for a private nonprofit, so I can be open. So if you want to join the office hours Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, I will be there. And I'm gonna look into this GoFundMe question a bit more. But it seems like other PTAs are doing it. Are there any other questions?
I know that some of you have questions about the new DOE email account. I suggest to please reach out to your parent coordinator. I know that in certain schools, they designated the parent coordinator to create those emails, or they have a different designee in school. So just reach out to your parent coordinator to see who in the school is responsible to create those emails, and if they haven't filled out the form yet, then you can reach out to the FLC in the district. They're should be able to open the account.
Rochelle, are there any other questions in the chat?
There are several questions,
Okay.
and these questions range on multiple of topics, but this is like the
Yeah.
general Q&A session right now, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, sure. I know Rocio Zumaya has asked this question multiple times. What's the difference between parent association and parent teacher association, and parent organization and parent teacher organization? I can also write this question in the chat. Does anyone in the city use parent organization instead of PA?
So we covered parent association just is inclusive of parents, and parent teacher association, you've amended your bylaws to include teachers as official members of your association or organization. I have not encountered a PTO or PO in New York City. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I haven't seen it. Now, when you incorporate your body, when you fill out your paperwork with the state, you will name your organization, and it will be PS whatever, PA or PTA blah 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 Inc. You will name your organization. I've never encountered a PO or PTO. Does anybody else have any other can anyone else put more color on that? I hope that answers your question. Maybe we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. The next question is from Shondale Franklin. Does the PTA need its own tax exempt to open a PTA bank account, or do we use the schools?
Oh, no, you never ever use your school's EIN or school's bank account. Never, never. You have to open your own EIN and you use that, and you have your letter from your principal, and you open your own separate bank account, your own autonomous organization. You don't have to be tax exempt. Many of our PTAs, PAs are not at that point yet, but the first step is to incorporate, file your articles of incorporation, and get your EIN number.
Okay, thanks for answering that. I'll go on to the next question. This is a fundraising question from Clara Pena Geraldo. How many fundraisers can a PTA have during a school year? What are considered major fundraisers?
Does anybody want to take that question? I don't believe there's any limit on the number of fundraisers, correct, Rosangela? I think there's limits on the number of fundraisers you can have during school hours, on school property, but off school property or outside of school hours, I don't believe that there's limits, correct?
You're correct. There's no limit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Donna asks in the chat, how do you get an EIN number?
I'm going to ask Rosangela to answer that question.
Apologies. So first you have to get a letter from the principal saying that you are a member of the PTA. Then there's the form that you fill out to get the IE number. I'm looking at it right now. And see if I can post it in the chat. And you're gonna fill out that form, and then you will get your EN number. Apologies.
We have, okay, so we think we can take a few more questions if we have any.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Giselle just asked in the chat, can samples of the forms and letters be sent out via email?
Sure. We can Rosangela, if you can after the call send me the links, because I can't see them right now on the links to what you're sending out. I can send them out to everybody who attended the meeting.
Okay, the form that they have to fill out.
Yeah.
Is the S4 form.
And I have a feeling that the S4 form is also probably on PTAlink's website under if you look around for information about obtaining your EIN number. I'm pretty sure that a link to that form is there, but yeah, we can send that to you, sure.
Okay, I'll ask another question. So Aristelis gave a situation. They said there are 2 schools in my building. Does that school have to get their own PTA, or can we work together under one PTA? The other school is a District 75 school.
I believe they have to have their own separate PTA. It's mandated that every school, every DOE school has to have their own PTA. But that doesn't mean they can't collaborate in other ways. Is that correct, Rosangela?
Yeah, they can collaborate, but each school has to have their own PTA. It's compliance for a school.
Okay.
Any others?
Danielle asked a follow-up question to the difference between parent association, parent teacher association question. They asked, as a PA, can we invite teachers and school staff to volunteer at our events? Are they allowed to?
Yeah, absolutely. It's about who gets to vote. It's about who in the bylaws gets to be a voting member of the organization. And if you are a PA, the teachers are not voting members. That doesn't mean they can't volunteer and help out and participate.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Next question is from Amiria. I'm not sure when she asked this, but she asked, what were the steps you took to become a 501c3? Did you have significant buy-in from the parents, and did school administration chime in?
I think that's probably either for Rydell or Namrata.
We had the status before I was there, so I don't know about the process.
And Namrata, were you a 501c3 before as well?
Yeah, we were, but we just applied for it through the IRS, and because the PTA just functions on its own, we didn't. I think we told our principal, but I don't think there's like any sign off or anything that she needed to do.
I know there's fees to it. I think I looked into it. I think it's about $800.
There are fees.
Yeah, there's
there are
definitely fees. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is from Danielle Roberts. How can we get an email for the PA? Are there rules in the bylaws about reimbursements?
Does our FLC want to talk about reimbursements?
I think, well, for reimbursement, I don't have an answer with that because I don't really know much of like what exactly you will need reimbursed for. What I suggest to do is just have a conversation. Mhm.
Sorry, my son is active right now. It's just because we don't have access to any funds at all. And I'm pretty sure that they're not gonna be very supportive in getting the ball rolling with that. So in just hopes and hosting something to start to bring our community together, it would cost something. So I just wanted to know if parents put up money or if they bought things to donate. Like a lot of families don't really have it, but if there's an opportunity to be reimbursed, knowing that we do have an account there. I was just curious if there's rules about that. Like if anybody is just hosting an event, I would say you're hosting an ice cream social and somebody buys all the ice cream, can they submit for it to be reimbursed from the PA budget, the PTA budget?
So what I suggest you to do again is just if you perhaps think you're having a little difficulty with the administrations and and the communication isn't the best, what I feel that you should communicate with the family leadership. Escalate this, and then maybe she will give you more guidance on what to do, and then work with the school as well and see how you can, all work together. Because you can also do a collaboration with the school where they can, provide some money to fundraise, for the PTA and the community.
Okay, that I didn't know. Could you elaborate a little bit? What do you mean the school could provide
Well,
money?
I don't want to speak about, how the school would deal with this situation. What I suggest you to do is just talk to your parent coordinator. If you can just ask the same question that you just asked me and see how you can work together on that aspect on reimbursement. But what I also feel that you should talk to the family leadership coordinator with your district and talk to her about, because she's there to support you and she knows more of the school community and the principal.
Yeah. Before I close out, I want to ask Namrata, can you explain how your PTA deals with reimbursements?
Yeah, so we just have like a reimbursement form that folks fill out, but I do remember that in the chancellor's regulation there's limits to how much can be reimbursed, what needs to be pre-approved. I think maybe it's $1,000 or something like that. And then I believe so, and then they're able to be reimbursed, but that's how we handle it.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to agree as a body that you're going to spend this money and it has to be pre-approved. I don't think a member can just go and spend money and then ask for a reimbursement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm at the time where I need to sort of close things out. This has been really great. It's been really a pleasure to meet all of you and listen to your questions. Please attend office hours on Thursday if you're available and you didn't get enough of me. um, and I encourage you to please subscribe to our newsletter if you don't already subscribe. Rochelle is going to put a link so that you can subscribe. And she's also going to put a link in the chat so that you can take a moment and give us your feedback by filling out this form. It really helps us understand the kind of programming that is beneficial and will be relevant to you. We're going to be doing our next webinar, hopefully on grant writing. I'm looking at some dates in November and December, so we'll be putting out our flyer on that in our newsletter. And if you'd like to add, we'll also be presenting 2 workshops across a whole range of topics with Manhattan high schools on November 13th and December 4th, both at 6 p.m. Rosangela, will we be opening that link up to other people? Can we advertise those workshops to the general parent body?
Yes, of course, we
Yeah.
can.
Okay, yeah. So you'll all be, if you get our newsletter, you'll all get flyers on those workshops as well. And I just want to thank all of our guest speakers, Rydell Wallace and Namrata Patel, and our fearless family leadership coordinator, Rosangela Valdez. Thank you so much for being here. You've been a wealth of information. It really helps to hear these things in practical terms from the people actually on the ground doing them every day. And thank you to our fearless interpretation team and my director, Naya Berg, and colleague, Rochelle Dew. Please reach out to us at info@ptalink.org with any of your questions and invite us to present at your PTA meeting. We will tailor a presentation to the questions that you have. So invite us to your school. Good night, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks. Good night.
Yeah. Bye-bye.